If there is one thing that is constant in the human experience, it's that with every passing generation, we have to pick up new skills. During the slash and burn days of mankind, well, the skill was hunting and being able to grow stuff. And then we adapted into a more civilized way of being where we built towns, and that led to the Metal Ages, where we started making machines and we needed to employ people to operate those machines because everything was just manual. And so people had to pick up these skills, and people management became a skill that got incorporated in this journey. As we see in all of our corporations, there are seminars that are hosted by people that these big corporations fly out just so that people can learn different skills that helps them adapt well in that corporate lifestyle. And so in the spirit of picking up new skills for the new year, for 2025, I wanted to talk about what I feel is one of the most underrated skills that literally anybody can pick up, and it's gonna pay dividends if you continue doing with it, because this is a transferable skill. This is not a skill that isolates you into just refining that skill and you don't see benefits in your day-to-day experience. This is one that if you just stick with me for even 6 months, if you keep practicing what I tell you in this video to practice for just 6 months, you can completely turn your life upside down. That's a bold claim, but I'm ready to make it. And that skill is camera confidence, exactly what I'm doing right now. You see, I've been fascinated with being in front of the camera, well, seriously, for the past 3 years. And the starting was rough, as you probably could see from this channel's history. But since then, I've just plowed on in this pursuit that I want to present myself in the best possible manner in front of a camera. And the ways in which I chose to accomplish that varied. But before I move on to the practical aspect of things, I want to shed a little bit of light into the evidence that I have to provide for you as to why you should even listen to me. Well, reason number one is probably that you become a lot more confident with people. If you can say something for 10 minutes straight on any topic that you would like to in the world, and actually try to attempt that, you will, well, 90% of people will find themselves flustering when they have to be in front of a lens, be in front of a camera, and just be open and vulnerable with just their thoughts. It's difficult to do because people don't like looking back at themselves. The actual challenge of recording is not actually in the recording, it's actually in viewing yourself after the recording is completed, because that is a dose of truth that a lot of people cringe at because they just don't like to see themselves in front of a camera. That might be because of insecurities, that might be because they don't feel like they're interesting enough. Whatever that reason might be, they just don't want to see themselves after they've been recorded, because that leads to shattering this illusion of I am good at something when in fact you are not. And that is this brutal awakening that a lot of people are just not ready for. But I'm here to tell you that if you can do it, you're going to be a very powerful person. Maybe not through the direct influence that you have by posting videos on platforms like Instagram, YouTube, whatever that might be, but just in the way that you're able to carry yourself and to authentically communicate. Because the entire basis of our civilization, of the modern world as we know it, is because of communication, is because of systemized, symbolized thinking. The words that are coming out of my mouth don't really mean anything. It's you that perceives it to be meaning, right? Human beings have figured out a way to effectively communicate their ideas as best as possible with the tools that nature gave us in order to build something or to direct or to guide something or someone. And so this is training that skill of communication in a manner that is a lot more new. It's since its introduction to the mainstream media, it's only been, I, in my personal opinion, less than 10 years, because it doesn't need to be a camera. It just needs to be your smartphone that you carry with you in your pocket every day. All you need to do is make the effort of hitting on that camera icon, flipping that screen, and just recording yourself for a minute straight. That's all you technically need to do. Just a minute. Like if 10 minutes seems like a stretch to you, then just a minute. But start doing that intentionally every day. You will see it boomerang back on you in a very good way. The rewards are excellent in doing this type of work, because the more authentically you communicate, the more authentically you can put forward your ideas, and that makes people respect you. If you want respect in your life, if you feel like people don't respect you enough, well, maybe that's because you haven't done much introspection as to why that is. But I'm willing to bet money that if you continue with this work, people will start to respect you more. And you don't need to pose anything. The whole idea is that when you do it, you can review what happened. And upon that review, you can fine tune and tweak and refine on certain skills and make that something that you can, in a way, exploit, not just in front of a camera but in front of somebody else. Because the more convicted you are with the idea that you had, the more convinced you are, the more, and the more authentically you can put that across. I keep repeating that word, but in the most brute fashion possible, the most real way that you can put that across without it being performative. That's the hidden key to all of the success that you've been aspiring in your life. Because since millennia, really, humans have always had a tribe leader, and that tribe leader has always been able to lead through his words. The pep talk that the football coach gives his team before they go out for the competition, um, the public speech that somebody who's going to TEDx is giving. All of these things provide you with this sense of authority. You perceive that person to be authoritative the more effectively they can inspire and communicate. So ask yourself, do you want that? Do you want to be in a position of authority and a little bit of power and influence so that you can shift humanity, the center of gravity of that system, and sway that more along the direction that you would want to go towards? Or are you happy following somebody else's footstep. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be a follower. You should be a follower as well, but you need to know when it is the time to lead, and knowing when to lead and knowing that you can lead, man, that comes in so handy. That puts a lot of faith and confidence in yourself that you are able to dive headfirst into any given scenario and make the best and the most out of it. If that does not sound enticing enough for you, then maybe this work is not for you. But if it does, if you want to know how, even just sporadically and instinctually, just being able to put some idea across out there to the world, if you want to know how to do that well, follow along. Step number one is acceptance. Accept that you are the one that you are reviewing, and promise yourself that you wouldn't cringe. Even if that promise can't be fulfilled, the next time you do it, remind yourself of that promise. And eventually you won't cringe. Eventually you'll be proud at what you're looking at. It might take a week, it might take a month, it might take 6 months, it might even take a year, but I'm telling you, this journey is worth it. Step number two is refinement. It's noticing micro expressions. It's noticing when I should move my hands around. It's noticing what is it that I want to enunciate on. It's noticing the ers and the ums of your speech. It's noticing how much your thoughts are trailing when you're trying to do this. Notice all of those things and make fine corrections and tune that according to what you feel is fitting your personality best. Because through this work, we're not trying to emulate somebody. If you do like the style that somebody else is giving out and you want to emulate them, do that. But at the same time, try to incorporate parts of your personality as well, because people like you for who you are. People don't like you for who you pretend to be, because they know that that's play pretend. They know that that's not you. So once you've nailed this, once you keep reviewing and accepting all the feedback that comes your way, because that's just you, you don't have to show anybody. The more you can be forgiving towards yourself, and the more you can start to love yourself as a whole. That's what this journey has done for me, is that I learned how to love myself better. When I look back on my content 3 years ago, admittedly, I do cringe, but I also look back to that person that didn't know what he was doing, a younger self, and I can say that I'm proud of him. Because if I'm not proud of him, then what assurity do I have that my future self is not proud of me? What assurity do I have that my future self is not looking back on me with this sort of attitude that, like, why the fuck was I like that? That's not very affirming. So you have to do that and make that sacrifice where you stop judging your past self and you work towards recognizing that your past self did the best they could. And it's now your responsibility to pick that up and move closer and closer and closer towards what your future self might want you to do. It's a gift that you have to keep giving yourself. And lastly, number three, once you are comfortable with being in front of the camera, and again, this is a daily practice, there's no other ways about it. Once you start doing that, and once you start being a lot more comfortable and a lot more sure of yourself as to your abilities, then you can start posting and receiving feedback. Immediate feedback from friends and family might not be your best bet because that always tends to cloud your judgment as to what you should be doing. But instead, look for feedback from strangers. And in that process, start building out content. Start building out a brand which revolves around you speaking or just on your identity of self. If me as Philip chooses to upload stuff on YouTube as Philly Wonka, then Philly Wonka is my brand because that's all I'm doing. And you don't necessarily need to go neck deep like I have done over here. You can pace things out very slowly and do it in a format that seems most comfortable to you. For me, this is the most authentic that I can be. Is uncut, is unfiltered, is just me and a camera, and perhaps some days, if I feel like I need it, the aid of a board right next to me, which I don't have right now. You can literally make videos stating problems that you have in your life. You don't need to have solutions, man. You can literally make an hour's worth of content by just stating your problems if you are bold enough to just think about them. Most people aren't. But if you are one of those freaky ones and you know the power of feedback and reflection and contemplation, then you know the power that this work holds. And in doing so, you also have leverage to inspire and to uplift society as a whole. Even in Zoom meetings that you have, this will come across well because you're not obsessing over how that person perceives you, but rather you are focused more on putting across your point in the best way manner, best possible manner, while also receiving feedback and trying to arrive at something mutual because that's what Zoom meetings are about. It's not just about you, it's also about listening. But the more you listen and the more you can effortlessly start putting ideas into the picture, well, the more that's gonna benefit both you and that person. It's it starts off as a selfish reason, camera confidence, self confidence, how do I like make myself an interesting person, how do I present myself in the best way possible to other people. It starts off very selfishly, but then the more you do this work, the more selfless you become, and the more you understand that this is not actually just for your best interest, it's for everybody's best interest, which actually becomes your best interest. It's not mutually exclusive. So now, starting today, because we're not going to wait until 2025 starts, right? We're not going to wait until January 1st to actually start this. Start this work today. Start confronting yourself on camera today. And that confrontation is going to be probably the best thing that you have done for yourself. is probably going to be the best thing that you commit to. And can you fathom how low effort this is? It's quite literally so low effort. I mean, I put in a little bit of effort because my videos are fucking long, and I light up my space, I color grade, I there is a little bit of work that goes into it, but you don't need to do this kind of work to see the results that I've enjoyed. You don't. You just need to be honest with yourself, and you just need to put in the work just every day. Show up for yourself every day for just 2 minutes. That's all that you need. That's all that I'm asking for you to do in this work. And if you can't do that, then how can you do the bigger things that you want to in life? It simply makes no sense. At the end of the day, I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm telling you what I think is best as a practice to adopt in your day to day experience, because that's just going to uplift your entire sense of being. So that's it from me today. I have spoken about this topic previously, and I will continue to do so in future episodes, because this is a topic that needs to be drilled in your head. And this is a topic that needs a lot of attention and a lot of affirmation and a lot of encouragement for you to properly execute. And I get that. And I'm here for you. So if you liked today's video, click that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't. Philly Wonka is out. Take care and peace.